Hello, everybody. My name is Filipa Bellette, functional medicine practitioner over here at Chris and Philly Functional Medicine. I wanted to do a video today looking at the 28-day female hormone profile test. And I just love this test. It's so cool. Gives us so much information about what's happening, not just like in a single sample of a sex hormone test, but actually what's happening over the course of a whole cycle. So let me screen share this for you. The reason, actually, before I do that, the reason why we might run this test is for women who are cycling. This is a really good test to measure what is happening over the course of the cycle. Now, if you go to the doctor, GP, they do some female hormone testing, they often just do a blood test and just a one blood test. If you're lucky, if you got a good doctor, they might do a blood test every week over the course of your cycle, which gives a bit more information about what's happening over the course of the cycle. But often blood tests or GP testing will just do the one single sample. I mean, that's only one little snapshot of what happens over the course of a whole month of a woman's period or cycle. We do tests as well for single samples of sex hormones, but often I would really only be prescribing that for males and also for women who are in menopause or not cycling. I feel like you get the best information if you do this whole panel. So people, I would prescribe this test if a woman is struggling with female hormone issues like PMS, whether that's mood imbalances, fatigue, anxiety, PMS, acne. It might be that you get really painful, horrible periods, or that you get a lot of hormonal migraines or headaches, or that you just have like uncontrollable sugar cravings, especially around your period time. Sometimes too, this test is really good, and it will probably be more of a follow-up test if we've been working with someone for a while and, not really seeing improvements. It might be like, let's just check out your female hormones, because sometimes your symptoms can come from very whacked out female hormones, even though you're not getting specific symptoms around your period time. It can affect your whole cycle. Sleep is another big one. Hot flushes for cycling women, feeling very sweaty at night, can all come back to any imbalance in your sex hormones. So I love this test. It can be a little bit challenging to do, because you do need to do a saliva sample every every two or 3 days over the course of your cycle. So just FYI, if you're doing this test, make sure you have everything written down in your calendar or your diary when you're going to do each sample, because it's very easy to miss one and then get to the end of the 28 days and you're like, oh, I've got an empty test tube. Oops, why is that? So just make sure you're like on top of that. I know that because I've done that before and I had to redo the whole test again. So this looks at estradiol. So it doesn't look at all three estrogens. It just looks at one. It's a very important marker, estradiol, but it is also one that can be quite inflammatory if it is being produced at too high amounts. We also look at progesterone and the ratio between progesterone and E2, which is estradiol. And then also looking at testosterone levels. That's just a one single sample that's being tested on day 11. But again, women do produce testosterone. We should produce it in a good, healthy amount for us to have healthy sex hormones. Okay, so what we can see here in this test example is estrogen levels are going very nutty. So a nice normal estrogen pattern would go from, sorry, my phone's ringing, would start off, really it should track along this green range, peak at around day 14. So it should kind of like start nice slight incline, peaks at day 14. When that estrogen peaks, it then allows you to drop an egg down, which then, if you're trying to fall pregnant and you got the sperm happening at the same time, you fall pregnant, and your estrogen levels and your progesterone levels will just like rise through the roof. If you don't fall pregnant, then your estrogen levels will start dropping down, and they'll just slowly decline over the course of that second half of the cycle until they're at the lower point and you bleed. Similarly, or kind of like in reverse order, progesterone in the first part of your cycle is quite low. And then after you ovulate, so when there's this spike for ovulation, which is actually happening in this test, I'll come back to ovulation in a second. That's where your progesterone levels should rise in the second half of your cycle, and you should be able to produce a lot more progesterone, kind of following this mountain bell curve there. So on this test result, you can see that estrogen levels do spike at day 14, but it spikes multiple times. So it's spiking at day 11, then it's dropping. It's spiking at day 12, and then it's staying up there, and then it's dropping, and then it's spiking again at day 20. This is really common, or common symptoms for when estrogen levels are going up and down all month. Hormonal headaches, hormonal migraines, mood swings, sugar cravings, just feeling like a crazy woman. It is not a fun thing to have at all. The fact that in this test example, all this estrogen, is being produced, this is a clear signal of this person being in estrogen dominance, where their body's just not clearing the estrogen properly from their body. It's getting built up in the system, making them very sick. Other patterns that I can see with estrogen, sometimes like the woman is not producing much estrogen at all. It's just kind of like low and flat. Sometimes there might be a peak, but it's really early in the cycle, or maybe really late. They're often the people who have trouble falling pregnant because they're ovulating too early or too late in their cycle. Often too, well, actually I haven't seen this very often, but sometimes these estrogen levels are just high up in this red range the whole test, and that is a massive sign of estrogen dominance. Common symptom I see is women with cystic acne, where they're just producing so much estrogen showing up on their skin. So progesterone too in this test result, and this is probably the most common thing that I see for progesterone in women's test results, is that there is progesterone levels are just flatlining. They're not producing much at all. Nothing is happening in the second half of the cycle. Again, that can be really inflammatory, especially when these estrogen levels are too high, and this ratio between progesterone and estrogen are just really off. Can make you feel, again, quite kooky. The PMS can lead to painful periods, infertility, skin issues, all the things. And that is why we're seeing this progesterone E2 ratio is off. At times it's too high, at other times it's too low. It's really because the amount of progesterone that's being produced is far too little in comparison to the estrogen levels. And then also here we can see that testosterone levels are low. This often can happen when someone is in adrenal fatigue and their stress hormone DHEA is low. So DHEA converts into testosterone. So, common reason why a woman has low testosterone is stress, whether that's emotional, busyness, stress, addicted doing, high achieving, going gung-ho, not giving your body enough recovery and chill time and downtime. So anyway, hopefully that gives you a little bit more insight into what we're testing, what your results might come back as. If I haven't prescribed this test to you because, there might have been other more important things to talk about, or if I mentioned this one, but, budget at the time didn't allow it, but you're like now super keen to do the test, let us know. Just email our office, send me a text, whatever is easier, and we can organize that test ready for you. All right. Thank you.